And then on top of it, you guys have the opportunity to start off your day, your midweek anchor from 7 to 8 a.m. To learn from somebody who's done life and business at a really high and cool level. Somebody who was a professional athlete, somebody who was a co-owner of a professional sports team, somebody who's built, sold, and exited three companies, somebody who has an awesome podcast, and the list goes on. I always like to try and just give you guys this filter. I know, especially if you've been in a harvest a long time, just like anything, it could be a brand new car, it could be a coach, it could be a company, right? And if you're in it for a year, you just take certain things for granted and it just gets old and you don't really value it as much as it should be valued, right? Because that's how humans are, man. They get bored and they want to find the next shiny object and they don't value the things that can really, that really at one point we're like, damn, man, this is incredible. And I hope I consistently try and keep it fresh with speakers, with adding new people, and you guys helping and contributing other like-minded individuals. But the reality is that average can come get you in here, man. So, I just want to make sure that you guys always understand, man. Never take these things for granted, even though it's what we do consistently, bringing in these people. But just never take them for granted. One, you may hear something from him that hits a little bit different, or maybe his story's a little bit different. It doesn't matter, man, but just don't take this information for granted because not many people have access to speaking to and asking questions to the people that we bring into bi-weekly. So, take advantage of the opportunity, be present. I see a lot of people aren't on camera. Remember, that's fine. I'm just trusting that you're doing what you say you're going to do and be present and be locked in, or else you're just wasting your time. And there's a good chance you're doing that and everything else in your day, like being there, but not really being there, which is why you're not like really nailing what you want to and get that separation on what you want to do. So just again, the small high performance habits that we talk about is like when you're doing something, please be doing it. Please be all in and present. Don't be multitasking. Be locked in. Absorb all the information. Take notes. Be where your feet are, ladies and gentlemen, right? Be where your feet are. This can help your relationships. This can help your health and fitness. This can help your community. This can help your business. You name it. And this is just an opportunity right now to practice that. Be where your feet are. Be present, right? Be locked in, and let's get some amazing information from somebody that's paid a lot of dummy tax. That's going to come in here and share a lot of valuable information for you guys, so you can 10x your life and business a lot sooner because you made the decision to be on this call, because this is what the harvest does. So, Mr. Adam House Sr., welcome to the harvest, my friend. We appreciate you sharing this morning with my brothers and sisters of the harvest, my family. We've been together for years, man, and I'm excited to have you come in and impact our community with your wisdom, knowledge, and experiences. And why don't you, yeah, man, welcome to the harvest, and let everybody kind of know a little bit of your background, what we're going to get from today's call. So they have that scope on like, all right, what am I getting? And then I'm going to let you do your thing, man. And I know I always have questions because I'm always going to be a student of the game. And I'm not killing it in all aspects of my life, no doubt about it, man. So I'm going to be asking questions. That's just how I'm bred. So welcome, brother.
Well, I appreciate you having me. And it's funny when people give the introduction of things that I've done, they all sound great on paper, right? We all look at our LinkedIn profile, CEO of this, and started this company and exited that company. But where real life happens is the in between, right? And you said earlier, someone that's paid a lot of dummy tax. Everyone wants to be the smartest person in the room. I actually want to be the dumbest because I've paid the dummy tax. I've made a lot of mistakes. So my success has not been built on an epiphany. It's doing a lot of things wrong, but testing, failing, learning, and growing. So I appreciate you having me on the show today on your community call. And thank you everyone for your time and joining this morning. So a little bit about me. I started my first business when I was 19. So I tried college for a year, decided it wasn't for me, and dropped out, moved down to South Florida, started my first business out of my apartment, a couple $100, turned it into a multi-million-dollar exit in 2007, and subsequently started a mobile technology company. That was 18 months, idea to exit. And one of the favorite parts about my story, outside of my beautiful wife and 4 sons, is at the age of 32, I had a midlife crisis, and a lot of guys go buy a Ferrari. Well, I decided to play professional basketball. So when people tell my story of being a pro athlete, it wasn't the normal path. It was actually at 32 years old. Uh, I played basketball in high school, a year of college. I said, hey, I could probably make a pro basketball team somewhere. So ended up playing a year of pro basketball for the Rochester Razor Sharks in the minor leagues, and then became CEO and co-owner of the team. Then I had to grow back up and start another company, took it from the napkin to a NASDAQ. So it's now publicly traded. And now I'm at the perfect place in life, which is where my passion and purpose have become my profession. So the House of Bricks is a community that I've built, and we use every experience in life like bricks. You can either carry them with you or lay them down and build a strong foundation. And so today I want to give you the blueprints that I have created over the last year. And it's really how to make entrepreneurship simple. And you may not be a business owner. You may not have your own company, may not even be a business leader, but everyone can have an entrepreneurship mindset. Sorry, a little too early to get the entrepreneurship mindset. There you go. And so it's really a mindset. It's a way you can approach everything that you do in life. And it's our simple operating system. So simple is an acronym that stands for
Adam,
strategy.
real quick. I want everybody to hear that line that you said about like the meaning of House of Bricks, right? Because that is so important, because as we all get, smacked in the head and limiting beliefs and, man, you know what, this is something bad that happened. Can I really do this? Is this for me? You had a little bit of story. You had a little story that you told about the meaning of these bricks. Can you share that with everybody? Because it's a powerful message, and I know it can help somebody today.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you mentioned this in the intro a little bit, but one thing I tell people is that faith and fear coexist. And to the degree that you're afraid is the degree of opportunity. So there is no such thing as unbelief. People are like, oh, I don't believe. Well, unbelief is a belief system. It's fear. And you have the choice of taking that situation of what's happened to you, and you can carry it with you. And poor me. And listen, I grew up in a, traumatic, everyone's trauma is relative to them, but, I didn't have the best upbringing, right? My dad was an alcoholic. I grew up with abuse, all those things. And I had the choice to live in regret. And they tell you that, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. So my unforgiveness towards my father was literally killing me, not him. And so you have the choice of, do I carry that with me as a weight, that unforgiveness, or you can turn it into a competitive advantage. So House of Bricks, we're all about action. So yes, that was a traumatic experience. Would I wish for something different? Of course. But I took that and lived in forgiveness towards my dad and laid it down to build a strong foundation for me. And so I used it as an experience to make me stronger. So when we go to the gym in the morning, what do? We try to break down all of our muscles, and then they get bigger over time. So the faith and fear, they coexist, and it is up to you to control how you're going to respond to that. So every opportunity is is an opportunity to turn an obstacle into a stepping stone, or lay a brick and build a strong foundation. And it's not easy. It's not easy to do that, but communities like this, guys like Devin that are leading people like you and mentoring you, that's what you need to get that wisdom, to do it. You need a strong community like everyone on this call to turn those obstacles into stepping stones.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And so just continuing on, and over the last year, listen, building your personal brand, I know Devin can attest to this, is the most difficult thing you can ever do. And the reason is, with my previous companies, I had a product. right? We had mobile technology, we had healthcare analytics, we had direct marketing leads. I built a sales training company for the roofing industry. That was the product, right? And now it's my life story and who I am as the product. And once you put yourself out there, my first 5 likes on Instagram were 3 of my kids, my wife, and my mom. One of my kids didn't even like my Instagram post. I think he unfollowed me. So, you get out there on social media and, it's tough. You're putting yourself out there. But what I want to talk to you about today is the Valley experience. Okay. And in the Valley is really the darkest place, but it's also where you gain the most strength and tools to climb the next mountain. So I talked about some of my successes in life, and that's great. But when you get to the top of the mountain, it's a lonely place. And at the top of every mountain is another valley that you have to go through. And it's communities like this, mentors, peers, and where a lot of people miss out in life is actually mentoring other people. And you look at some of the things that you may have done and think they're not worthy of helping someone else. But if someone has a job at a local gas station, they can teach someone that doesn't have a job to get a job at a gas station. So everyone has the ability for that threefold opportunity, and everyone wants to 10x their life through some sales gimmick or whatever. But the most important capital that you can build in your life is what? Does anyone know?
Relationship capital?
Relationship capital. Okay. So I have, since I was in my first business, always had 3 types of relationships in my life. Number one is be mentored by someone else, someone like Devin that's, giving up his experience. And it's not a place of, hey, I'm your mentor. But when you accomplish things in life, you gain a universal authority to help someone else get to where you want to go. So find someone that is where you want to go, and they will lead you and empower you to get to their level. Second level of relationships is what you guys are doing here. Okay. It's peer-to-peer relationships. Who am I running with? Who am I climbing the mountain with? There's so much power in community. Communities have been around since the beginning of time. There's just different versions of community. Instead of us sitting around a campfire, which I would enjoy much more right now. I think I'm zoomed out like a lot of people, but whatever way you can connect with people that are on the same frequency as you, trying to achieve a similar goal, will help you climb the mountain. It's peer-to-peer relationships. And then the third, like I said, is mentoring other people. So my grandfather, he grew up on welfare. His father died at a young age. So he was raised by a single mom on welfare with 10 kids. And first of all, how did people do that back then? By the way, I've got 4 kids. We've got help, people popping out 10 kids, no money. That's a story for another day. But he always taught me the power of giving. And he was, Dutch Reformed, church every Sunday, serving in the community, and they had really nothing to give but their most valuable asset, which is your time. And he taught me. So even in my first business, I was, giving money away, just to give back what I could to other people. So action item right now for you guys is the number one thing to focus on is relationship capital. You're doing it here. You got a mentor, you have peers you're running with, but I want to challenge each of you today. The 4 most important words you can ask when you meet someone is, how can I help? How can I help? People approach with a give first mindset. I promise you, and if Devin will ever have me back on the show in a year, if you take action on this one thing, I promise you it will 10x your life. And it's not about money. I've never been focused on the outcome. It's been the process and the journey. And I know a lot of people talk about that process and journey, but if you're on the wrong journey, you're just going to be miserable the whole time. Because being an entrepreneur, you're struggling 80 to 90% of your time for that 10. It's like being an Olympic athlete, right? You spend, 4 years training and you get those, 2 minutes to swim back and forth. It may take me 20 minutes to swim. Not a swimmer. I'm a land animal. But the point is, you will struggle. And that's what the power of these communities will do is, help you get through that struggle zone, but you got to make sure you're on the right path. And in this last year, God really moved in me, and I was, just feeling like entrepreneurship should not be this difficult, and it shouldn't be. It should be simple. And when when I came up with that term, I started to think about, an acronym that would describe a way to make entrepreneurship simple. So I want to make sure you're listening here. I did not say easy, because it will never be easy. Anything worth having in life is not easy. Anything you did not earn, you will not value. And so through that, and, just for the sake of time with you this morning, I'm going to walk you through the simple framework. Okay. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a strategy. Where am I going? How am I going to get there? And what are the resources required to do it? And there's one other thing you have to consider is what is going to be the cost for me to get there? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about collateral damage. Okay. So it sounds great to be in entrepreneurship for 27 years, but I promise you it has come with a significant cost. And those costs are, to me personally, right? To the teams you lead, and most importantly is the people around you. So even if your wife isn't in the business with you or your kids aren't in the business with you, there is going to be collateral damage. You cannot make a gain without a cost. And so there isn't a right answer. There's nothing wrong with building businesses. There's nothing wrong with going all in on your dreams, because that's what it's going to take. But you have to have that awareness of what is the cost going to be. So we talked about the journey. It's going to be difficult, but you got to have a destination. Okay. So just because you're miserable and just because you're struggling does not mean you're on the right path. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm grinding every day. Well, grinding every day is going to lead you into a pile of dust if you don't have the right strategy. So finding communities, finding mentors, they can help you define that destination. The next step is innovate. Okay. Because I promise you this as well, and I'll stop saying I promise you. You can just tell everything I say I've gone through. I haven't read it in books. It's real life experience. So I'll stop saying I promise you. The next step is going to be innovation. So how you think you're going to get there is never going to be the way, but you can still reach your destination. So if you write down these 4 words of your process of innovation, first thing you need to do is test. Okay. So even though I've made a lot of money, every time I start a business, I start it with as little money as possible and make as many decisions as possible, because decisions create action, and that action creates feedback, and that feedback is going to help you make better decisions down the road. So you have to test, fail, learn, and grow. And it's an iterative process, continually testing. So a lot of people get caught up in analysis paralysis, oh, is this the right decision? The worst decision you can make in life is to not make a decision. You're going to miss opportunities. If I would have decided not to start a business when I was 19, I never would have started my business. So a lot of people are searching for their why in life. I always have started with why not? Why not start a business? Why not play pro basketball at 32 years old? Why not start a healthcare analytics company with no background in healthcare? Because it's up to me. It's really in my control of whether I do things or not and what the outcome are. So the next letter that we talk about is mindset. And mindset is actually perfectly positioned in the word simple. So if you've ever had a great idea, right? You got these dreams. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a company. I'm going to, climb Mount Everest, whatever it is. It all starts with a dream. But once you have your strategy, once you've innovated, you've tested, you've failed, you've learned, you've grown, now you're in the struggle zone. You got to have the right mindset. So a lot of people spend their time trying to get their mind right in the beginning. Well, it's easy to have it in the beginning. It's a dream, but dreams without action are just dreams. And so now you're in that mindset, you're in that struggle zone. You got to have the right frame of how you're going to view life's experiences. And this gets down to the bricks, right? It's bricks. Am I going to carry my failures with me, or am I going to use that failure to make better decisions down the road? Success in life is a horrible teacher. You do not learn anything from succeeding. It's all through testing, failing, learning, and growing. And that's why you got to have that mindset. So the next step is to look at patterns. Okay. So you started with a strategy, you've innovated, you tested, you fail, you learn, you grow, you got the right mindset. Now you're in a place to look back and see what worked. What did I do that worked for me? What did I do that didn't work? And how can I make better decisions going forward? So you look at my background. Look, I struggled in high school, went to college, freshman year. I had zero business experience, but I had passion and I just never quit. I wanted to achieve the goals that I set out. And the reason I'm bringing that up for patterns is there are patterns in business. There are patterns in your life. There are patterns that you are consistently doing that are good, and unfortunately, consistently doing that are bad. And these patterns are oftentimes things that you inherited. Okay. So the blood transfers from father to son, and you're inheriting those behaviors, oftentimes not of your own actions. And so you have to have that awareness of, okay, what patterns have I inherited in my family? Is it unbelief? Is it fear-based? All of those negative things that can be passed down. And it's no judgment towards how you're raised. Now that I have 3 teenagers and 11-year-old going on 25, I realize a lot of the mistakes my parents made, they were just kids that grew up and had kids. Like, there's no manual to being a parent. So be aware of the patterns you've inherited, the patterns of decisions that you've made in your own life and how you interact with the people around you and your business. And then this is what every entrepreneur wants. The L. They want to leverage. How do I 10x my business? If I see one more ad on Instagram about how to become a $1 million coach in 90 days, I'm going to lose my mind. So there's so many gimmicks out there. Everyone's looking for a shortcut, but the shorter the path, the smaller the trophy, and the shorter shelf life it will have. And so now that you have the strategy defined, you've innovated, you've tested, you fail, you learn, you grow, you got the right mindset, you've looked at the patterns in your business and life. Now you are ready to leverage. And leverage is not something that you decide to do. It is a natural process of doing the right things leading up to when your business will leverage. So I talk about the compound effect. None of my success in life has been an epiphany. Okay. It's been doing the small things every day, consistently over time to make a significant impact. And that's what we talk about in the House of Bricks, is living life brick by brick. You're not trying to build the penthouse before you build the foundation. And if you do, it's not going to last. And so that compound effect of living brick by brick is going to help you build that strong foundation.
Adam, can I add, like,
Yeah.
this is, and for those that have built a company or are building a company, it is crazy how spot on this acronym is, right? Strategy, innovation. Like, I'm going through, I got a few things I'm doing now where it's like, all right, testing, failing, grow, like testing, like, all right, nope, not working, next thing. And it's like, man, and like this next part, this M, right? Let me tell you right now, this is where 90% of people quit. 90% of people quit. Why? Because nobody does personal development work. Nobody has community. Nobody has people that they can ride with when they're feeling down. And most people quit when shit starts not working as easy as they thought it was going to be. And they're like, nope, this isn't for me. And I'm just going through this, man. And it's just crazy how spot on and accurate it is, man, as I like reflect on my journey of, the companies that I've been building and some of them that I'm starting to build. It's just pretty wild how like this is so spot on, man. So I just wanted to really validate that, man, because I for those that are on this call, man, if you really like dig deep and really reflect on your journey, man, like this is so spot on. And that M part, that mindset, which is why it's so important to get your mental right, your physical right, your personal development, continue to stay locked in communities and conversations like this, man. This is what keeps us going through the hard times. And I've seen it many a times in this community. Oh, man, I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. Community, then you plug in, everybody's locking their arms around you. You hear some good messages. Then you get to that other side. And that's where most people quit, but not us, man. So I just wanted to share how that's really hitting right now. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to.
No, it's fine.
Really
And I want it to be conversational, and I'm actually, I just have a couple minutes here to wrap this up, and happy to take any questions from you guys, because again, you can go listen to my podcast if you just want to hear me talk, but want to, speak to you guys and get to know you a little bit as well. So now that we've gone through all of those things, I won't repeat it. Hopefully you'll be hearing it in your sleep tomorrow, which is, how to make life simple, how to make my business simple. The last part is execution. And the reason that execution is at the end is that's how you spell simple. I'm just kidding. But I couldn't have come up with a better acronym for my life story and what I'm teaching people. So execution is the most important thing when you have the other 5 components right. Okay. So just because you are executing does not mean you are on the right path. Okay. Just because you're waking up every day and, getting on a community call or, sending emails or whatever it is, trying to drive business. Well, executing on the wrong things is just a compounding problem. You're just making things worse. You're making yourself miserable. So that's why we always start with the strategy. And again, the strategy at the beginning, do not get caught up in, there's companies that spend months coming up with a strategy. Well, by the time they have it, the market has changed, the business has changed, the product has changed, the economy has changed. Like, come up with a destination you want to get to. And I live in Michigan. There's, 1,000 ways to get to Florida. But if I'm running towards California, I'm never going to get there. So you got to have a destination that you want to go to. You got to innovate, test, fail, learn, grow. Got to have the right mindset because your dreams have just met reality. You got to look at the patterns, what worked, what didn't. What am I doing to self-sabotage myself, right? We're oftentimes our own worst enemy. Like even this morning, what things did you do that aren't good for you? Was the first thing you did was, get on social media and check your likes and comments and check your email? Well, you're starting out in the hole. You're starting in a reactive mindset of, what did people say about me? Who liked my posts? Going and commenting on other posts. Spend the first half hour making decisions that you can control. Get out of bed, go to the gym, pray, meditate, write in your journal, whatever it is. You can control the first hour of your day, and that sets you in a motion of action and authority, and not being reactive to the situations around you. And that's the best way to start with building that strong foundation. And execution, like we talked about earlier, the power of execution is multiplied through mentors, peers, and what did I talk about earlier? Mentoring others. I'm telling you, it will change your life to give to other people, because when you are mentoring someone, you're held accountable yourself. If you have integrity, character, there's people that snake oil people all day and then, don't really live what they're teaching. But when you are mentoring other people, you want to hold yourself to that standard. If I'm mentoring someone, I prepare, okay, how can I help this person? And it's changing me. I know they're the things that I live and I teach. But when I'm reviewing it to teach it to someone else, it's like, hey, Adam, do you have the right strategy? How's your mindset? What patterns? What are you doing today that's self-sabotaging you and your business? It holds me accountable. It's like being a father. You want to live to a certain standard that help your sons or daughters live to that standard. And we fail. This is not a magic pill you can take. You are going to fail more times than you succeed, but it's all about having the right mindset and taking those bricks and building a strong foundation. And over time, you will build the house of your dreams, and you'll want to live in it because you built it, and it's your family, it's your business, and you've put in the work to build it. So if you're a homeowner out there or whatever, you buy your first house, apartment, whatever it is, it's home. It's a safe place. It's a place you built, and you want that foundation to be strong, because the most expensive thing to fix is the foundation. So if you build a house and it's got a crack in the foundation, it's not like remodeling the bathroom. You got to take the whole house apart. You got to go down. You got to, strengthen that foundation. So it's costly. So every shortcut that you see, every opportunity that looks too good to be true, it probably is. Do the hard work, and you will be happy and proud of the house that you build. So that's the simple framework, and you can again apply it to your business and life. I think I'm applying it too much. My kids are like, Dad, please don't tell me how this is simple. But it really applies to everything that you do. So happy to open it up to any questions or conversation.
Yeah, if anybody has anything specifically that you want to ask, I have questions loaded up. If some of you are too shy, if you're like, man, I don't want to be on camera, message me. You can be anonymous and I'll ask the question there. But this is why we're here, guys, to get questions answered,
guys.
to be vulnerable. Who else? Who just did somebody?
Hey, it's Mike Fulgenetti. Adam, thanks so much for being here this morning. I really appreciate your time and sharing your experience and this acronym. One of the questions I have is with that no quit part, right, of the mindset and the innovation, like test, fail, learn, and grow. At what point in the failure do you finally commit to trying to identify the pattern? A lot of times with that no quit mindset, it's like, no, we'll just keep going before you pivot. Do you have any system or process that says, all right, clearly this isn't working as I thought, and move in a different direction?
Yes, it comes down to, going back to the beginning, what is the strategy? Where am I trying to get to? How am I going to get there? And a lot of times it takes a mentor to help us decide if what we're doing is even destructive, right? We're blind to our own weaknesses, and we're creatures of patterns. Like, how many things do you do every day you know you shouldn't do, you said you weren't going to do? And so it's really goes back to, where am I trying to get to? And a mentor or an advisor, because you're busy in the business, and it's often difficult to see what it is that you're doing wrong. So someone that's removed from the situation can say, hey, I see what you're doing here. This was your strategy. This is how you've innovated. Your mindset seems right. Let's look at these, patterns. And if you've gone through that process, you'll know what's worked. But the hardest thing to do is to stop doing what isn't working. And so there isn't like a one size fits all answer to that. It's really just analysis. Is this driving towards the strategy? And you should have enough data through that process to see what's working. But again, the most difficult thing to do is to stop doing what's not working.
I'll add to that too, man. And one thing that I see common too is you have to be real. And this isn't like at Mike, this is just in general, because a lot of times when I'm working with people, it's, you have to be real with, are you actually like running the play? Are you actually doing it? Because, like, for example, in health and fitness, you know what? This program or whatever it is not working. All right, well, are you running it to a T? I promise you, whether it's a business strategy, whether it's marketing, whether it's hiring, whether it's putting systems and processes, like 9 times out of 10, they're not giving an all-out effort to actually like do it the way it should be done, to give it a real analysis on, is it working or is it not? And it's just so common. Well, it's really not working for me. All right, well, have you done what you're supposed to be doing daily for at least 30 to 60 days? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Right? So for everybody, like, before you make a judgment on this marketing strategy, this thing, that whatever it is, like, be real with yourself though. Are you doing it the way that you should be doing it, to give it a fair assessment on if it truly works? Because it's so common that people aren't like really doing it to the amount of time it should be done to give it an accurate analysis. Does that sound fair, Adam? Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, we all start and quit, right? And so the best way to solve for that is not starting too much, right? What happens January 1st? All the gyms are packed, right? Every gym in America is packed. And by the 3rd week of January, they're 70% full, then 50, then 30. So the point is to not start with too much. Okay. Success, again, it's not a decision. It's the compound effect of all of the choices you've made along the way. Success is the outcome, and failure only happens when you stop. That's the only way you can fail. Everyone has a story to tell with their life, and it's up to you when the last chapter is written. So that's what makes an amazing story. It's the hero's journey, right? You have an idea, you go into the valley, you're struggling, whatever, and then over time you rise to the occasion. But it's really up to you when the last chapter is written, and that's how I've lived my life, is finding my why not. So I won't chirp Simon Sinek, but I will. He's got a whole generation of people looking for their why. And what has that led to? A bunch of people living in their parents' house until they're 30 years old, looking for their why. Well, finding your why not is a much shorter path. Find your why not. Why not do this? Why not try it? Why not start with this strategy? Why not innovate? Have a good mindset, patterns, leverage, execution. Why not do that? And it will lead to success. And a lot of my success has come from failing at something else first. So there is a time when you're like, hey, this just isn't going to work. And it's tough to make that decision on our own. So, not to be repetitive, but I will, because it's important, is mentorship is the most important investment that you can make. Mentorship and communities And the way to give that back and what you're receiving is mentoring other people.
Love that. Who else? Anybody else have a question before I start firing over some to Adam that I know will be beneficial for all of you? Anybody? There are no stupid questions. It's just stupid to sit on problems when you have access to a community like this. So, guys, if you have something to ask, feel free, message me. All right, I will fire away here. Adam, and I'm just going off of, oh, wait, Sean Cullen, I see you, my friend. You raised your hand. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my question was, what was the biggest mindset shift that you had to go through in order to help you become successful?
Man, it's been an iterative process. So I guess the best answer to that is really understanding, and this is the best way to have a good mindset, is understanding what season of life are you in, and what do you want to do, and what is the cost going to be to get there. So now I'm on my 7th startup with the House of Bricks. And I've learned over time that understanding the season I'm in is the most important thing. So in my first couple of businesses, I didn't really have seasonal awareness of what it takes to really build a company. There is no work-life balance. It's work-life integration. And when you understand the season that you're in, then you're up for what it is that season is going to bring for you. What tools are you going to need? If I'm building a business now, I'm smart enough to, and my wife's smart enough to realize that, hey, Adam's building another business. There's just going to be less quantity of time for him to be available, right? So I focus on the quality. I know the impact that it's going to have on my health. I know the impact it's going to have on me as a dad. So the number one thing you can do to have a strong mindset is that self-awareness of, what do I want to do? What's it going to cost me? And what tools do I need to do that? So for me, the way I control my mindset is the mornings. I try to own every morning. I'm consistent with the gym, consistent, with journaling, with prayer. Those things just set me on the right path for the day, because I know the day's coming at me hard. It's gonna get, if you're building a business, anything, parent, the day is going to try to take you over. So taking that first step in the morning to build your mindset is really the most important thing. And just that self-awareness of the cost of what you're trying to do.
Great question, Sean. Awesome. Anybody else before I have a question that I want to tee my man Adam up with? All right, Adam. Another thing, leverage, right? I wanted to hit on the word leverage because I see, and by the way, like, even for myself, like, I'm sitting in the bleachers just like everybody else is right now, right? Leverage, right? People have an issue with leverage, right? It's one, them not wanting to leverage because they think they're the best at everything. That stunts the growth of their business. And sometimes I believe people leverage too soon, right? So what did you learn from building multiple companies? And my next question is going to piggyback off of, like, there has to be patterns on building multiple companies. What were, like, that word leverage, like when to not leverage, when to leverage? What are some of the pain points of leveraging that you grew through that you can help us with? Because at the end of the day, you can only grow through people, right? And so, I can't take on another office. I can't even take on what I have now. Well, why is there people that have 100 offices, right? And they have more time than you? Because it's possible, and it's done through leveraging people, right? So how can you elaborate on the word leverage and kind of what you learned from it?
Yeah. So again, the leverage is perfectly positioned in the simple framework. Okay. And I talked about this a little bit earlier. You're leveraging whatever it is that you have, and it could be the wrong things. So when we start something with that big dream, what do we want to do? We want to accomplish and achieve the dream. So we're looking for ways to leverage things to get there faster. But I can promise you there's no shortcut to get to where it is, where you want to go. It's actually going to take twice as long and be 10 times as hard. So leveraging is a natural outcome of doing the right things along the way. So the compound effect, would you rather have, $5,000 today or a penny a day for 30 days? You'd actually end up with more money because of the compound interest of getting that penny, the compounding interest of it. So you look at guys like Warren Buffett, I think his net worth at 45 was, $5 or $6 million. Now he's worth 100 billion. Well, it was the compound effect of his wealth and decision making. So leverage really isn't a decision that you make. It is the outcome of doing the right things along the way.
Okay. I haven't heard it like that before. All right. So this next question is, right, we got business owners here who've been in business a while. Some of them have been, and this is very common, building a business, but never really thought about exiting it, or even selling it, right? And it's like, well, all right, if I did have to think about this, like, what are some of the principles or, through you building and exiting 3 companies? If I was a business owner right now, I'm like, man, I'm doing pretty good in business, right? But if I did want to sell, how would I know how much I could sell for? How do I plan these targets? I see Mike Fulgenetti put, how do you decide when to exit when you're living in a house you built, it's hard to move out. What do you use to set your target to decide your exit? So I know there's a lot in there, but I guess the first thing is, right, and this is just from my knowledge, and I know it's valuable to other people, how do you decide on what you can sell for? What is is there an equation on all right, if I wanted to sell this, let's just say waterproofing business for $10 million, how much sales, how does that equation look? And what were the things you learned? Hey, these are the common mistakes when somebody tried to sell a company. And I have a mentor, he always tells a story. Years ago, a real estate company, somebody went to buy it and then they looked at all of his numbers and stuff. They're like, man, you don't have this set up in a way to where now it's worth way less than you think. And then he was like, I realized that I had to set it up this way so that it could sell for way more. So first question, how do you know how much you could sell a company for? Is there an equation for that? And then what were the things that you would suggest people do if they have a 5-year plan to exit a company? What are some things that you think that they should set up or look at?
Yeah. So, I'll answer the second question second. So the first one is, it always depends. There's standard valuation tools out there. You can be, valued on EBITDA. It could be revenue multiple. But the best type of acquisitions are strategic buyers. That's where you're going to get the highest valuation. That's what I've always exited for, or when we went public, was strategic buyer, someone where you add incremental value. So you mentioned a waterproofing business. Are there economies of scale with them buying you that, either adds a new location or adds customers or adds a product that they may not have? That's where you're going to get the highest valuation. But there's standard formulas of, discounted cash flow, EBITDA, revenue, if it's a technology company, number of users on the platform. So it's hard to give
got it.
Standard answer of, hey, you're going to sell for 3x. But I've always received very high multiples because they were strategic buyers. My mobile technology company, we sold for 30 times revenue. So it was just, right buyer, right time, right place. But your second question is actually more important than the first one.
Yeah.
And the comment that you made, what we talked about earlier was building a strong foundation. And so exiting a business is not like selling, your house to go put a for sale sign outside. You have to do the right things along the way. And this is what I teach entrepreneurs, is how to get your business exit ready. So do you have a financial model? Do you have a growth model? Do you have the right corporate structure? Right? Working with entrepreneurs now, like their operating agreements, I'm like, what did you just sign? And what is this? What are your shareholder agreements? What's your go-to-market strategy? And most importantly, is money follows vision. So if you have the right vision of where your business is going, that's going to increase that multiple. So stocks and businesses trade on the future. It's not where they are today. So have a strong financial model, go-to-market strategy. Make sure you have a clean operating agreement. If you have investors, the right share classes. So in the beginning of your business, people are passing out equity, like they're, breath mints. So yeah, I'll give this guy 10%, this guy 10%. Well, I promise it will cost you millions of dollars on the exit because it's not done correctly. So having that strong foundation of your business. Do I have a go-to-market strategy? Is my financial model clean? Do I have a vision of where I'm going? And then what is the competitive analysis? How am I different than my competition?
Good stuff. And again, guys, this isn't going to be, that's easy to understand, right? But some, like you just hearing it for the first time, then it's like, okay, you know what? Like, do I have equity partners? What does that even look like, right? Is my financial model strong? Like, these are questions to ask yourself to where you do the work off the call. Be like, you know what? He mentioned that. Let me look into this. Let me talk to my financial guy. Let me talk to my accountants, right? Let me talk to my attorneys. Hey, I just hopped on a coaching call in my harvest community. And they were talking about making sure my operating agreement is clean in case I wanted to exit. What's my next step after hearing this information? Maybe you need to go to your attorney and just, hey, if I did want to exit in 5 years, Mr. or Mrs. Attorney, is my operating agreement clean? Are my partnership agreements clean? Because I just heard this and I just left it alone for years. And I want to make sure I actually have this right so I can take action on the knowledge that I just learned from this call. And obviously, you guys can follow Adam House too, House of Bricks on Instagram. I bring in these speakers. You're more than welcome to reach out to them and follow them. So you can obviously consult with him too on more of what he's talking about. But I just wanted to give you guys just the basic answers on what he's saying so you guys can unpack it. And there's still a few more minutes to ask questions if you're kind of looking to understand it a little bit more. But I just want to plant these seeds in your mind in case, and maybe that changed your vision. Devin, I never even thought about selling my company, right? Well, guess what? Maybe that changes the vision of your company and how excited you are to go into the office today because, man, you know what? If I really put my heart and soul into this, I can sell this for $10 million in 5 years. That's a whole different type of energy going into that office versus, man, I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life, ain't I? Are there books?
Yeah, and let me just summarize that just to make sure you guys have the 5 pillars that we focus on, okay? Because we talked about the compound effect. The things you do not have right today will cost you when you go to exit because they do due diligence. They look at your financials. They look at the competition. So the 5 things you need to focus on. Number 1 is the financial model, right? Do I have clean books? Do I have assumptions that I've made for growth? Am I forecasting the future? The second is my competition. How do I do what I do differently in a more efficient way? Doesn't have to be cheaper, just more efficient and provide more value than my competition. The third is your go-to-market strategy. So I made a joke about Instagram. I can have the best content in the world, but if no one sees it, then no one's going to buy from me. So how am I going to get my product to market? The fourth is your operating agreement. This is the playbook of your business. How does the business operate? And I've seen everything under the sun in operating agreements. People sign partnership deals and they're 50-50 partners, but one guy has has the voting rights. So if you don't have the voting rights in your operating agreement, you can own 95% of it. Well, he's in control. So the operating agreement is your playbook. And the fifth is if you have shareholders, same thing. Are they preferred shares? Are they common shares? Do they have voting rights? All of these things will play into the outcome of the exit. But to answer the question completely, I never started a business with a plan to exit. It was to build value, disrupt a market, and the market will tell you when it's time to sell. And then you have that choice. If it's a lifestyle business and you're making a couple $1,000,000 a year and you're happy, you don't have to sell your business, but understand every business has a shelf life. So if you don't innovate, test, fail, learn, grow, eventually, your business will become a commodity.
Got it. One last question. Are there books you would recommend? He would recommend something giving us basics in even building foundation and exit. So are there any specific books that you found were helpful for you when it talks about, that educate about building foundations and exiting companies?
Yes, I would look at Vern Harnish. So he's the founder of EO, the Entrepreneurship Organization, and he's got a book called Scaling Up. Any of his content is phenomenal, so you can find him anywhere, scalingup.com, YouTube. But he talks about exactly that, of finding what the constraints are in your business. Is it people? Is it cash? Is it the product? Or most importantly, is it you? Is it you as the entrepreneur that's sabotaging your business? So that's a great book. But I mean, there's so many books out there. I recommend strongly not to struggle with death by too much information. Like what people are saying, all the books are similar, but it's packaged in a different way that may speak to you. But I would focus on quality and action versus quantity of information.
Love that. All right, guys, we are at 8 o'clock. I want to respect everybody's time, including our special guest, Mr. Adam House. Guys, thank you for your commitment to yourself, for your brothers and sisters in the harvest. Remember, this Sunday, we have our Ruck event. We're raising a ton of money. Thank you for everybody who sponsored. There's still time to sign up for the Ruck event in Wildwood, or after. We're doing a happy hour. There's going to be drinks. We're going to have food. If you guys want to have a little harvest get-together at the Seaport Pier in Wildwood. In the meantime, guys, share the call. Drop in the Facebook community some of the golden nuggets that you learned from this call. Take action. Most importantly, follow Adam. Guys, make sure you follow Adam and give him a share too to support him and his platforms too. So have an amazing day, guys. Adam, thank you so much, man, for pouring into our brothers and sisters of the harvest. We appreciate you, and we wish you the best of luck in your new venture. And we'll be here to support you too, brother.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Have an amazing day, everybody. Let's execute.